Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our anniversary cake topper. Now I have all of my pieces cut out here, as should you, and we're going to begin by just doing some simple things here. First off, we have, essentially it's one banner broken up into two sections. What we're going to do is take this long white piece and, we're going to glue this lavender or purple piece to the white piece. So let's get our glue flowing here. Make sure your glue bottle is nice and ready to go, not clogged, as mine always tend to be because I forget to put the cap on it. But we'll get that glued down first. This one should go pretty quick. This is it's the only one in the new batch that features a rosette. For those of you that have never made a rosette, we're going to be doing that. It's very simple. There's one little tidbit that you just need to be aware of while making them to be successful, and I will share that with you here in a second. All right, now the front of the banner here that actually has the word on it, anniversary, we're going to pick that one up and glue that down. I'm going to work the glue around the perimeter first, and then just hit some of the little tiny areas here. Especially, you want to get a tiny little dot of glue on the little cutouts for the A and the R so that those don't break off. Okay, we want to get that nice and centered on this piece. Should have a nice even border going all the way around. Okay, so we've got that part done. So put that to the side for now. These two layers here are going to go on top of each other. Okay, there is another piece like this, but it's way bigger and it has some score marks on it. Put that off to the side for now. We just want to take and layer these two pieces. Okay, this is what actually we're going to put our numbers on when we're to that point. I'm not going to do that just yet because they're actually going to be, we're going to pop dot those to make them dimensional. Okay, so we'll get this piece glued onto this piece. You just want to match up the little scallops there. Pretty straightforward. Make sure it's nice and centered. Give it a little bit of a nudge, and of course I didn't get that centered. We'll try that one more time. Could be a little tricky sometimes when you're dealing with these little scalloped areas, those scallopy pieces. Okay, there we go. Much better. Should, again, have a nice even border going all the way around this piece. So do your best to accomplish that. Okay. Now, we do have numbers. Of course, all of the cake toppers that we've released here, if they do feature some sort of numerals, we've included 0 through 9. So if you're having a 50th anniversary, you'd obviously cut out a 5 and a 0, or a first anniversary, second, so on and so forth. So you've got all of those options available for you. So you want to cut out whatever numbers you want to apply. And let's get that glued onto the white shadow piece to kind of give it a more dimensional sort of look. Okay, so there's our 25. We'll put that off to the side for a second. Now, another feature on this is the little stars that are kind of shooting out. And I did off camera, I did 4 out of the 5 because it's pretty redundant. There's 2 layers, okay? And you just kind of sandwich the Chanel stems between the 2 layers. You can see how I've done that here. I'm going to do one with you. Okay, what I actually did was I took a stem, and it's not necessary, but I just found it a lot easier to kind of just trim off a little bit of the top of it, just so I can actually see the stem a lot better. Okay, not necessary, but it does kind of help me a little bit. And what I did was I just put a little bit of glue in the center of one of these. Now obviously there's 5 different stars, 5 different sizes. Make sure that you have all of the corresponding sizes matched up together. Put a little dot of glue in there and press that down. I'm using hot glue, okay? So we've got 1/2 of it in place, like so. Then we'll flip it over, and I'll throw another little dot of glue, pretty much in the same spot. I'm not overly concerned about trying to get every little point of the star glued down flush I think as long as they are on top of each other and you give it a good squeeze here, a good push, they're gonna look pretty much seamless for the most part. If there's a little bit of a gap, I'm not overly worried about it. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna sandwich these, and when we put them down, it's gonna go from large in the middle to a little bit smaller to the left and the right, and then the smaller ones all the way on the end, like so. We're gonna go through that in a minute here. Okay, so next, we've got all that done. There is this piece. We'll talk about this piece in a little bit. This is the piece that has little score marks on it. But let's put together the actual rosette. Okay, I did ink one edge of it, and I started to just kind of fold this. I'll do this one here, and I'll show you. You just want to kind of just fold it back and forth like a, like a fan, I guess. Okay, and that is what it's going to look like initially. Now with this one here, with the next one, when you do the next one, you don't want to fold it the same way. So you can see the first one, the first section here is a mountain, okay? And then we've got a valley, and then a mountain, and then a valley. So when we do this one, we want to do the opposite, okay? So on this first fold, instead of doing a mountain, that's a mountain, we're actually going to start by doing a valley, okay? So we're going to do the opposite here. And then once you have the first valley, then you can fold and make a mountain, then make another valley. And then at this point, you just have to go back and forth and just fold it kind of on top of itself. And I'll show you why this is important. Okay. Just gonna go back and forth, keep folding it until we have it all folded up. Probably a faster way of doing this, but it's okay. We'll just do this until it's all folded up. Then we have to join these two pieces together to make it a full rosette. There we go. Okay, so now you'll notice when we stretch this out a little bit, what we can do is take one side, and we've got a mountain here, and this section of the mountain is going to go right onto the first section of our valley. And we're going to glue these two sections together. I'm actually going to just use some hot glue on this just to make it a little bit quicker. Just going to do a nice thin line of hot glue. And then take my other piece and pop it right on there. Okay. There we go. And I'll just kind of squeeze it together. Lips. There we go. And I'm just doing this to help it really set and be nice and flat, so I can just really give it a good squeeze. There we go. Okay, so now it's all one solid piece. And now to make it an actual rosette, we're going to take it, and now we're going to glue it to itself on this section here. So let's put some glue on this part of the little valley fold here, this first one. Okay, just a little bit of hot glue, and we'll bring it around and connect, put that right on top of that section there. Make sure it's pushed in as far as it'll go, and then you can actually just start taking it and squeezing it together and just press and hold that together. Okay, because it's hot glue, it should be pretty much done at this point. So this is what you'll end up with, and then all we're doing is just flattening it out, and there's our rosette. Okay, very simple. Okay, so now that we have the rosette scrunched up, let's go ahead and apply some glue right in the center and kind of spread it around a little bit. And we're going to take this piece and we want to pop it on here. We want to get it centered. Okay, get it nice and centered. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Is it completely centered? I'm not sure, but visually looking at it, you can tell it looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll leave that like that. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take our skewers now, and we're gonna find this piece, okay? And you can see here on this piece, I'm gonna actually draw this in so you can see it. There are little markers to help you with the positioning of the skewers. Okay, and there's a top marker there. It's like a little L kind of on its side. and we're going to take the skewer and glue it right into that little corner, okay? So let's get our glue going onto the skewer, like so. And take it and just pop it right on there. Down, use the little score marks that are going down as a guide to keep it straight, and then the top of it should fit right into that little L bracket. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the other one. Just get a little glue on there. It's a few times that I do like working with hot glue because it just works so quick. Okay, so we got that in place. All right, and now what we're going to do, we're going to take this piece, and this piece is actually going to get glued on the other half of this. And what I would suggest doing probably is, you'll notice that on this piece there's a series of little score marks. That is so that we can more easily align this piece. We'll get to that in a second, but for now, what I would suggest doing is I'm going to take and actually put hot glue on this side of the skewers, and then maybe just a little bit in the center, like kind of glob it a little bit so it's a little thick. Hopefully it will make contact with this. And I'm going to flip this over and get that nice and centered on this piece here, like that. Take a look at it before it sets to make sure that this piece here is nice and, you know, you don't want it this way. You want it just at the bottom, like so. Okay, so we got that. That's going to be our back. This is actually going to get glued to this, okay, once we get to that point. I'm just kind of bending this out a little bit because it seems to be kind of caving in on itself a bit. Okay, so now what we can do, we can actually take and, here's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to flip this over. This banner is going to go on like this. Okay, I want to get that on first, and I'll explain why here in just a second. So I'm actually going to use some hot glue, or better yet, just to be safe, instead of hot gluing it, because there's really no way to do this like mathematically and kind of get it perfectly aligned. So you know what? I'm going to use some foam squares here, because with foam squares, if you happen to not get it in the exact spot, you can always pull it off and move it. So let's do this. You're going to take this and align this edge with the little score marks there, and do your best to get that centered. That's my main concern, is making sure that I get it centered. And I could just tell right there that it was not completely centered. Okay, that looks almost right. Maybe just a tiny bit over. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Just like that. And then obviously this is going to go on the front, and we do want to try to get that centered as well. And I'm going to use the banner to kind of guide me here. Okay, so taking a look at this, looks pretty good as far as the centering goes. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to glue this on here. And when we pop this on here, obviously you can see there's a center of the rosette. We want to try to get it centered on here as well. And I think the best way to do this is we're going to take and put some glue on the center of the back of our rosette. Spread that glue around a little bit. Okay, make sure you don't get any of the little frillies there. And this is upside down now. I'm going to take this and do it this way, just so that I can kind of see that I'm getting it centered. Okay, I'll pop that down into place and kind of nudge that over a little bit, just like that. Okay, so that is beautifully centered now. Wonderful. And then we've got this little piece here, and the idea with this is to kind of bring it down a little bit, like so. And we want to leave a little bit of a space there between this piece and this piece. You don't want to do that. You want to bring it down just a tad. And we're going to work on trying to get that centered as well. Okay, so what I would suggest doing actually is putting glue on the back of this so that we don't get glue in places that we don't need it on the rosette. So I'm just throwing a little line of glue there right in the center. I've got frillies on me. Ew. Feels like spider webs. And just pop that on. Bring that down a little bit, make sure it's nice and centered. Like that. Beautiful. That looks great. Okay, so last thing to do here is just put our numbers on. And then we can do the little stems as well. So these are actually going to be pop dotted. Okay, so or not pop dotted. I got little foam squares. I mean, and I'm going to do probably just like 2 or 3. And that should be fine. Just find a nice thick part of the number to put that on. Okay. And this is going to be a 25th anniversary. So cool thing about these foam squares is if you put them on there and don't push too hard, they'll stick, but you can easily remove them if you don't like the placement. Okay, so I'm going to go here, put my 25 there. Let's see, that looks pretty good, I'd say. Okay, so now finally we're going to grab and we got to install these guys. Okay, so this is going to involve a little bit of trimming and cutting. Now, obviously, they're kind of staggered a little bit. They're not all the same length. We'll start with the first one. Okay, and let's see here. Yeah, so that's going to go right here. The first one's going to go right here. That's why it was important to get this part right here, this little crease lined up with this guy here, the little valley between the two little scallops there, because we want them kind of shooting out like this. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to go about an inch. We want about an inch of wire showing back here. So we got about an inch here. Just kind of measure it with your board here. So we want about that much sticking out, and then the rest of it can get glued down. So I'm going to probably trim it to about here, like that. Okay, let me flip this over, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue right into this little valley, just right into literally the valley, like so. Wipe that off, and we'll pop that in. And I need to trim it more. There we go, pop that in. We want about an inch sticking out. Let me see if I got an inch there. Maybe a little more than that. There we go. And then you can just kind of use something to push it down into place. Make sure it's nice and centered, like so. There we go. There we go. Just like that. Okay, and you can always adjust it. These are pretty flexible and malleable. So, all right, now moving on to the next one here. This next one, the next two here, what we're going to do, we're going to skip one of these mountains and go to the next two here. So skip these two, go to these two, and find the second largest in size. Okay, we're going to keep just shy of an inch from the base of the star to the bottom, and then obviously we need a little more so that we can actually glue it. So I'm going to trim it to about here. There we go. And we'll flip it over, skip one, and go to the next one. Throw a little bit of hot glue right into that little valley. Okay, and pop it in. We want it just shy of an inch. Perfect. And I can just use a little dowel or whatever to push this down in there so that it sticks. There we go. Okay, let's go over to this side here now. You get the idea. It's pretty straightforward. Stick your get your glue in there into the valley. We're skipping one and going to the next one, as I mentioned. And then this table really helps with making sure that I'm getting everything properly measured out. That looks good. And we'll just pop that and push that down right into that little crevice with our hot glue. Beautiful. Oh yeah, look at that. That's looking great. And that just leaves 2 more. This last one here, it's going to be about a 1/2 inch, okay, from the base of the star where the chenille stem is to the actual rosette. So measure out about a 1/2 inch, and then obviously we need a little bit more so that we can tuck it back there and have a surface to glue it to. So we'll trim it to about here. Perfect. And we'll grab our glue. We're skipping another valley and going to the next one. Get your hot glue in there. Give it a little twirl-ski. There we go. And as I mentioned, about a 1/2 inch on this one. Oops. Ew. Okay, using my little mat here to help me measure. That looks good. And then I'll take that and just jam it right in there. Just press it up against that glue. There we go. Don't get stuck. There it is. Look at that. That's awesome. Definitely got to give Ron, our designer and product developer, props for these toppers. They're gonna be a hit. I just know it. Okay. So again, skipping a valley, going to the next one. Grab your next piece, get it lined up on your mat so you can measure it out. About a 1/2 inch to the base. And press that into place. Hot glue is doing its job. And voila. Awesome. Look at that. I'm very happy with all of these. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna add some rhinestones probably to the middles of the stars. What else do I have here? And maybe just a little rhinestone here and there. That's it. So that's going to do it for this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a moment, visit us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. While you're there, get that little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new video or go live for that matter. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can type in this little URL that you see here at the bottom. This is the last of 4 for me, so I am ready to start taking photos. I have 4 cakes. Yes, 4 cakes. Pray for me that I don't eat them all, because that would not be good. But either way, I had a blast. I hope you did too, and I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.